I call this special select board meeting for the town of Underhill to order. It is Thursday, November 16th, 2023. It is 6 p.m. Are there any opening comments? Anybody on the screen? No?
No one online.
I see nobody. I hear nobody. We will move on to FY25 appropriation requests.
Included in your packet, I think I told you about at the meeting last Thursday, we received Mount Mansfield Community Television's request. They're asking for $2,600. Last year they were at $2,000, and they met the deadline with the appropriations policy, so they will automatically go on the warning.
Good.
And then the next one is our Community Cares Camp. They're level funded at $3,000 as they were last year. And I just included their report. And the last one is UVM Healthcare and Hospice, which used to be like the VNA. And they are at $8,000, and last year, fiscal year 24, they were 7,900. So they're below the threshold of the appropriations policy. Those are the three.
Very good.
So we're going to add those into the budget for the requested amounts, or we have to put those as line items in the budget, or at the warning for the town meeting?
Yes, those will not be on the published budget.
Only the one will be.
Yeah.
Only the one will be on the, or not, the one will be the same as last year.
Right.
The one that's on the warning, but the two of them will be in the budget.
Sorry, if it's above the threshold, then it will be on the ballot. So far I have Mount Mansfield Community Television will be on the ballot, and Mills River Farmers Market will be on the ballot.
There's two more.
So those are the two that I have on here.
We've got a couple more that'll be on there too that were earlier.
So yeah.
One is well, it doesn't matter. We went over all at a last meeting. So, but as of now, anyone that comes in over the 300 threshold will have to get a petition or lower their amount to just below 300. And that's that.
Okay. Draft budget.
Okay, typically when we start the budget process and we're at version 1, V1, we don't even bother with the revenue end. We start with the expense end. The area that typically has the most variation from year to year is the highway budget, because it's so dependent on the projects that we have. So and then also, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting unless you have something else. We can start with the highway expenses, and then we'll come back to the beginning to the first select board line.
I'm good. Start whenever you like.
So that's typically what we do. There's a lot more, I think, to discuss in the highway lines than there is in other lines.
Well, let's do that while we're fresh.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the reason. And also, just so you know, a couple of standard comments. We had decided last year that the salary increases would be at whatever the cost of living increases. The feds right now, nothing's published, but what they're saying is 3.4%. So across the board, what you're going to see in here on any salary lines is a 3.4% increase of the salaries. And there's some assumptions that are being made when it comes to things like planning and zoning, where we don't have a person in that position yet. But otherwise, and then when we meet in executive session, we can go over some of the nitty gritty about the salaries and the benefits and all that stuff. But that's for general purposes. That's what you'll see in here. So I forgot to I always write in a number on your pages and I didn't. So if you can flip, let's see, one.
So just to be clear, we're going to look at the cost of living index, and we haven't established where that is. And you're saying that it's about 3.4, and that's what we're using right now.
Yes.
However, we have not, that's just so that our employees have the same buying power that they had from the year before.
Correct.
That doesn't equate to them, being long-term employees or for doing a good job or anything like that, which would be, where a step plan or a merit increase would be, be looked at. So I don't want to, I guess I just want to be clear, like, I'm not looking at this as like 3.4 and that's it.
Right.
I'm saying like, that's the floor, but there's other things that can go on top of the floor.
Right. And the reason that this came about was, just in case any of us don't remember, and Russ, I don't know that you were part of the discussion last year at this time, the inflation was insane the last several years, and we were not keeping up with it. So last year we did this bump, which was 6.8%, and it would have looked like to anyone who doesn't know economics and doesn't pay attention or watch the news that, oh my God, why are the town of Underhill employees getting such a huge raise? Well, we had gone several years where we weren't even close to keeping up with inflation. So basically we were saying, here's $1 when what you're buying is now costing you $5. So we made that adjustment last year. So that's kind of our starting point, is we're going to do what the cost of living at a minimum is. And then if there's further discussions, then we deal with the further discussions. But it gives us a starting point.
I'm good with, I just want to make sure like the board is on board as far as.
That's my intention with that program all along. You have the index that you can count on.
Yep.
Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's not big.
Right.
That's right.
And
it gives us something.
But that's what everybody, that's what
I have a quick
those
question.
of us who are on Social Security, that's what we get.
Yeah.
We get that index. However, what I want to do, and we had talked about that, but because of many, many reasons, we didn't get past talking about it. We didn't do the goals and set, for merit increases.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be doing that. We should talk about that. I'm with you on that. I think that that's important. And it can, and likely we won't be able to do much, I think things are pretty healthy across the board right now, but, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Do they have at the end of the year, so they do this projected, right? And then at the end of the year, when all sugar's out, do they ever say, well, this is what it actually came out to be?
No, I think they just state it, and then that's what they publish for Social Security for the wages
I
that
think it
come out in
might
January.
be a past thing. They're measuring what's happening right now.
You Googling it?
They're
Yeah.
not
What is it?
projecting
Are they saying 3.4?
into the future.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but
I'm
I
not
think
seeing
that
a
that's
number
what it
for
is.
next year.
They're reflecting, what people.
But then what happens
If they're wrong?
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong. I mean, they do math with.
It's
with-
3.2.
It's not what they're projecting. It's what is.
it's what is, okay.
It's what is.
What is.
And whatever the formulas are, they come up with that, and it's across the board
Says
you
for
know,
2024.
with everything.
Because there's a couple different indexes, correct?
Right, and then you want to make sure that when you're looking at the index, that there's the nationwide index and then there's the Northeast or New England.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to look at, what the nationwide index is going to be, and then you got to look at the Northeast and New England
Right.
in particular. Because
For
typically,
Social Security, there's
because, heating oil and costs are higher, it costs more to live, in Underhill, Vermont than Tampa, Florida. Go
I
figure.
don't know that, we get on the national news, they make the announcement, and that's what we get all the time.
Well, it is fluctuating since I set this at 3.4. When I did it, it's now saying 3.2. So I I know.
You could bank on 3.
Yeah.
More than likely, and then see, you know, as we get closer to having to make a decision, you know,
I
where's
thought it was
that?
already set.
It's a moving, every quarter, I think they change that.
I don't know.
But for the year, they give,
Well, I can,
we don't need to nail that.
For version 1, it's at 3.4, just so you
Close
know
enough,
where it
yeah.
came from. I want you to know where the number came from. So we're gonna start on page 7. About halfway down, it says highway.
What's the number?
227. 226.
We're gonna start at number 220. I would actually start at 221, just so that Russ can explain to you the part-time number, because we had it at 15,000 and he has bumped it up to 25,000, which is a $10,000 increase. So I think we may want to start there.
Yeah, I would like you to talk about that.
Well, first of all, keep in mind that this is my first round with the budget, and I know you've all been good, so
Correct.
I don't think I'll get any too much rashing. But and I was able to work with Jen for a couple hours one day, and it was very helpful. So I bumped the part-time line basically due, you know, this year was a little bit different than past years with part-time help. And figuring that we may have to utilize some more part-time help possibly to keep on track in the near future, maybe. You know, we're trying to get some greater operating procedures in process, which we've started some of that. We have interest in the building of greater operations, so that's good. But I just feel that we will be utilizing more part-time help in the future. You know, maybe with a pickup route or things like that.
Also, this year we did use part-time work for the grader, and it worked out really well. We were able to get to roads faster than we have in the past and more efficiently. So that was really helpful.
Yeah.
So we're going into the year saying that we're all in on this really good grader fellow that has committed as a part-time person, and that may make that budget a little bit higher.
Right.
Because we are committed
Mhm.
to that. He's not the only, right now, only part-time people are doing the grading.
Correct.
So until people get up to snuff.
And in the past, we had a full-time summertime grading person
Right.
that was on our full-time salary. So that is a significant change.
Right.
So
And 10 may not be the right number either. Again, Jen expressed that this is version 1. So
Right. And we can sit down and we'll continue. We will continue to crunch these numbers, especially because when we did this first version 1, it was before we had a new full-time fourth person. So things continue to evolve, and we'll continue to chip away at that. But I just wanted you guys to know that that's why that typically what I like to do is point out to you where there's big jumps I believe we can explain and can affect change. The next one that's got a big number.
I don't, just one more thing on the grading. I don't know if we can do this, but it would be interesting to know what a road, what a town with X amount of miles of gravel road, how many hours of grading does it take in a year to keep them in good shape? And, you know, you can do the math real easily from that, but is there a possibility of doing that? Is there anything statewide that has any kind of estimations?
Weather will play a huge part of
So
that.
there's very,
If you have a lot of rain, you're going to end up getting more potholes and things like that, which need to be addressed more. Honestly, I believe that the grader in most seasons, if you got good weather, should be going all the time.
Should have been going today. Have you seen the potholes on Stevensville? I'm just kidding.
Where's that?
But it goes along, I think it goes a long way with residents, especially in the spring.
It does.
And we've always waited till all the frost was gone, but somehow if you could do some spot grading when applicable,
Right.
it goes a long ways, I tell you, because the phone just
Must be
rings.
Stevensville is after Maple Ridge, because Maple Ridge was beautiful.
Yes.
So
Just
is
be
there
patient.
a season ending for grading? I mean, is the grade put away now or?
No, we actually I brought land back in this week, Monday and Wednesday. Roads tend to need to be touched up before plowing. And if it's hills, if they got washboardy and those need to be fixed up before plowing, potholes, things like that. So he did put in 2 full days this week. And if the weather holds out next week, he'll put a couple days in next week. We're in pretty good shape. And we do have some Stevensville will be on the list. Poker Hill's pretty good because, spot grading. And if it's good, we don't want to really mess it up either. So if it's good, we're going to leave it.
Just north of Metcalf View.
Yes.
Those potholes always come there. I don't know why, they always form.
We're going to put some gravel
Right
in
there.
there too.
There's some spots that just always get,
It's so odd.
Yeah.
You got drainage issues, and
Yeah,
things like
that
that
must
we
be
have
what
to
it is.
address.
Is that a mini rebuild thing?
No, it's already
No.
been rebuilt.
Really?
there are no rebuilds on the budget. Just kidding.
Okay.
All right.
I'm-
It's my job to keep us moving
Yeah, yeah,
along,
yeah.
Dan.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just point out the payroll taxes and benefit line 223. That isn't something that we can really affect a change. That is going to be 100% dependent on who our employees are. Is it a single person? Is it 2-person? Is it a family? It's not something that is, it is what it is. It's not something that we can play with. And we already made the decision as far as which medical insurance plan we're going to use. So these are just real numbers that are based on reality of facts. Then moving down, we did,
You want to catch tree and brush just for a second?
we haven't got down there.
Oh, I thought that was the next line.
Well, the next one I would point out would be the training and licensing. We put 6,000 in there last year. That was new. If you recall, it was because we thought we were trying to hire a supervisor and we were looking at the possibility of hiring someone who didn't have a CDL.
Yeah.
So we put $6,000 in the budget for that. That may be a place if we start to get tight that you want to look at adjusting, or if you want to leave it there and see where things shake out, that's fine too. Just want to point that out that is still there.
What is it in? I can't read over the.
224.
224 training and licensing.
I know, but what have you got it in? You kept it the same?
Yeah,
Okay.
same 6,000.
It just-
And that was the reason we had it last year. We had never put that before, but it was when we were recruiting and there were several people that had interviewed that, didn't have CDL. So,
And if we wanted to make the budget lower, we could always cut into that.
if we needed to, correct.
Yeah.
So for now, I would recommend leaving it.
I can't see it.
Okay.
So then the next one down under contractors and outside labor, 227 is tree and brush removal.
You put 30, we spent 13 and you want 37.5.
30, I haven't put in this year. 37.5 is what we have in the budget for this year, and I didn't change it for next year. Where that 37.5 is based on is 5 full days at $7,500 a day. Russ and I talked about this, and we said that Don Toby's talked about how we need to start having a plan for the ash borers. So we wanted to make sure we keep that in there, because if we don't start to pointedly address that, whether it's Russ's idea was like maybe you pick a road or a section and you really maximize that road and get them all done in one area. If you can start to figure out how you want to do that, but that's critical that we keep that in the budget.
You should do Stevens.
After we go, you did everything.
We don't have very many.
Be surprised.
But Brad, did you want to say something about?
I just couldn't, for some reason, I've got this copy that I couldn't even read. That's why I couldn't even see the numbers.
Oh,
I
okay.
hope that's not the one that went online, but anyway.
No. Well,
Does yours
we
look
can-
good?
Yeah,
on
I can read
paper?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. Anyway. we'll
It
forward
might have just copied.
That could be a line that could be changed some, because I don't know if that 5 full days at 7,500 is for actual logging, like coming in with shear and all that, where we've done really big projects, maybe, because, I mean,
75 is real high.
that's a high number. So,
So
but
that may
I
be
think we're
something
really
we wanna
gonna
look
get, I think
at.
we're really gonna get into tree business here soon
Mhm.
with the ash borer issue, and there's a lot of trees around town that are
Bad shape.
in bad shape,
Mhm.
and around power lines and things like that, we just can't touch.
I think I talked with Don, he's finished the inventory, and Johnny did a huge, we need to also talk about doing something nice for Johnny, because he spent day after day after day, he walked all these roads.
Who's
you
this?
know.
Johnny,
Johnny was a UVM conservation student, and he volunteered to do the ash borer inventory.
he spent
incredible.
his summer walking all of our roads, looking up at the trees, tree hugging, and identifying the ash borers, and using this app that Don Toby had,
Mhm.
that
The
the
state
state
has.
uses.
So many hours did he put in?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God. I mean, untold days. That's all I know.
And he walked and walked and walked.
Yeah, miles. Like,
Are they gonna do a presentation of their findings?
No, it'll be on the.
it's on there.
Yeah, Don probably will at some
Okay.
point, but
It'd be nice to know.
yeah, how many we've got,
Right.
where the dense areas are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's a graduate student?
No, he's an undergrad. He's a senior at UVM.
He was in the same kind of class as the folks, the ladies that were doing the road inventory. They were all in the same
Yeah.
classes, but they were working.
We
for-
can talk offline about what resources are available in the select board budget. Maybe we can, get something out before the holidays.
Do
Yeah.
something nice for him, I
Yeah.
think would be.
It's a good form.
'Cause
It's a good suggestion.
And
Yeah,
Don was
support it.
really happy.
We did talk about it, but we were supposed to mention it.
But anyway,
yes, I
back to
forgot
what Don was saying, that he was thinking, like, try to concentrate on getting a hold of the power companies first. Anything that's near the power lines, try to get them to do it.
Mhm.
I guess if there's an infestation, they draw a 5-mile radius around that infection area, and then they have to cut every ash out of that 5-mile radius. The utility company,
Mhm.
apparently.
So then that would be on their buck and not ours.
Exactly. So
Well,
Wow.
I pay, and you do too, a
I know.
premium on our electric bill.
Yes, I see it on there every month.
but anyway,
So we can look at that.
the number might be good. It's just the 7,500 a day is high. That's all.
And then, you'll notice some drops in contractors and professional services. Those are line items that are directly related to projects that we have on the docket, And because next year the only major project is a paving project, it's my understanding that flaggers, which are normally in these line items, and some of the other costs that would normally be here are part of that paving expense. So that's why those came down.
I'm not sure about the flaggers being part of the paving. I think we can bid it that way.
It's in the line item
Right.
under, when we get to that.
They bring their own flaggers, but the pavers do. But I think you were talking about for the culvert work.
I think for our culvert work that we have to do in our settlement, we won't be in need of flaggers because we're going to have to close the road.
Right.
Because we're all cross culverts, so there's not going to be any through traffic.
Right.
Luckily, there's 2 ways, so it's good. For a job like that, we don't have to maintain one-way
I
traffic.
think there was a huge amount of money in for flagging because of they thought that they're going to get to ditching Valley Road. And, so that's where the big, and that goes in contractors miscellaneous.
Mhm.
Is that where the flagging
Yeah.
goes?
Contractors and professional services,
And then
that's
you
why it's
talked
at
about renting
42.
those lights, right? Maybe the one-way lights, Jericho did that, set them up, stand, and
But that's why you see the drop from 42 down to 35 and from 40 to 30.
Sliders are very expensive.
They are. And then, Russ, can you talk a little bit about the hauling line 231, why that would be an increase of 10,000?
231. So 10,000, so in my scope of interest moving forward is to look at hauling, having at least a portion of our winter sand hauled in versus the town utilizing their own trucks to haul 7,000 tons of sand in. And I have talked to a contractor who does that for area towns, and that 10,000 is not going to get you much more. So that if we decide to, we got to have some discussions about that, but we may have to bump that a little bit more to.
So what's the rationale for that?
The what?
What's the rationale? Your line of thinking, why you want to do
Why?
that?
Because we're given or asked to do a lot of projects throughout the summer. Our summer vision is very small for the amount of work that we have to do.
The window of time.
The window of time. So to utilize, in most cases, we have one truck that hauls. Some days we have 2 trucks. Some days we have 3 trucks. It takes away our time to get other projects completed. And so between the amount of time that we lose to have an employee doing that, or 2 employees doing that, the amount of fuel that we use, our trucks are heavy. They're built to plow snow. They're not built to haul material. So, I mean, they haul, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, for instance, my truck weighs about 32,000 pounds empty, where a normal truck to haul like that weighs about 27,000 pounds. So once they load us, we're heavy. We're like very heavy, like too heavy to be. It's just not, you know, we're weighing 75,000, 77,000 pounds out of Johnson when, you know, our trucks are rated for 68,000 pounds, 66,000 pounds. So
it's a balance between the fuel, the wear and tear on the trucks,
fuel,
and the employee's time.
wear and tear, tires, you know, we wear out tires, just the wear and tear itself on the truck, adding the mileage on these trucks. At the end of the lifespan, maybe they're worth a little bit more money too, with less miles. But our trucks, like our 18, has got over 100,000 miles on it. My truck, which is going in December, will be 2 years old, has got 35,000 miles on it already. So it adds a lot of miles on the trucks. And then again, once you start, the more they run like that, the more repairs you're going to have to make and the more expense we're going to have. So it's not uncommon for towns to have their sand hauled. And I don't think it's a good idea to do it all. I think it's good maybe half, because it does give us something else that we can do on days that we really can't be doing anything else. It gives us you know, we can haul. So I'd really like to get to that point to at least have part of our sand hauled.
Can we haul sand in the wintertime?
If the pit is open and they have some, we probably can. I'm not sure how much sand they have stockpiled in the winter.
I think they load it all mostly year round because I know Cambridge does some of that because they just don't have the room for it.
Yeah.
But then you're running your trucks in the salt and I think I'm with you. I've never seen the benefit of hauling our own sand. Just what you said, fuel, time taken away from road work, wear and tear on our trucks. It just, for what I remember we used to put out to bid for Gary Tatro, and you couldn't beat the price, and had it all done in like a matter of weeks.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it makes sense to do as much hauling or some portion like you proposed. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And it might mean that it frees the road crew up to do some other small projects that come up during the year that are getting neglected. So,
We always have what we plan on doing. And then it's like, oh, we got this culvert fails and
Right.
these trees
Right.
are, down and. Yeah.
so this one's a bit of a moving target as we,
And I'm hoping by the next budget meeting, I'll have some more defined numbers.
I think that's good. I
It's a
like
great
your logic.
direction. It's a
It
great
makes
direction.
sense.
And keep some open for, like you say,
Yeah.
you've got a day where it's raining and there's not much.
Well,
You're gonna
just
make a
figure,
mess
just
somewhere.
for reference, it's about 325 loads that we have to haul. It takes 54 days with one truck, and it's about $10,000 in fuel alone.
and we did this year have, Ken,
Which was part of our part-time.
that was our part-time, that's why, part of why our part-time, I don't have the year-to-date numbers. This year's year-to-date numbers for the part-time employee is higher, and that's because we had Ken, and he was hired to haul sand for us.
Mhm.
Moving on to page 8. Heavy equipment maintenance. Wanted to make sure that Russ shared with you why, even with a new excavator, that line shows an increase of $5,000.
So my logic on that is, so that pretty much brings our grader and loader into that category, because our excavator will be new at that point and under warranty. But the grader is aging, and anytime we do have a repair made, it's a minimum of $1,500, $2,000 for a cat to come to the garage to fix it. And the loader is out of warranty as well. And, last year we put some pretty hefty money into the loader. And it's just that the unknown of, we can't predict our repairs, obviously. And I think the grader will be moving more than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
Which more
time
on the road, the more chance for repairs.
Yeah.
Cat is coming after Thanksgiving to do some work on it that had the same repairs done 2 years ago, which was $4,000. And the same thing needs to be done again.
What is it?
They're main hydraulic hoses that run from the back of the grader all the way up through the arm in the front that goes to the front axle for the all-wheel drive. Those hoses wear, get chafed, and fortunately, Liam noticed it the other morning when he was doing his walk around, which I thought was great. And we put some guards on it and zip tied them, so hopefully they'll hold. Because like Scott mentioned, seemed like they were just done a couple years ago, so I went back through the records and found that they were done. And it was $4,000 2 years ago. So.
Which means it'll probably be $5,000.
Could be. I just think that, as we all know, as equipment ages,
It costs more.
they cost more.
Okay, another one that sometimes comes up for discussion, line 236, dump truck maintenance. I wanted to bring that up because we continue to buy new trucks. So, but then of course we have older trucks that are aging out and getting older. And in the past we have tried to trim that line down, and it seems to often bite us in the butt. And then Russ and I were talking about tires, and can you tell? I don't remember the numbers, but 16 tires and what that costs just in itself.
So just alone in tires. And the thing that kind of doesn't really concern me, but in dump truck maintenance is everything. It's included from plow blades to tires to oil and filters and any other repairs that need to be done. So even it's not just a truck, you got the dump body that's got moving parts and adds to that. So tires alone, we've got 16 tires that are going out to be recapped, which each one is just under $300 a piece. Luckily recap versus having to buy new, but we get to a point that we may not be able to recap them because they get too old. You can't recap them at a certain age. Luckily, these 16 that are going out are all within the spec, so that'll be good. So what that'll do is these 16 tires that come back will be winter tires for my truck and Dwayne's truck. So those tires are not just going to go into inventory. They're as soon as they're for next year. So the tires we have on our truck now that we're running through this winter will be our summer tires next summer, and then in the fall these tires will go on our trucks, and then it's just going to be the next truck. You got Scott's truck that he's going to be next, and it would be nice if we could get them spaced out, but they just kind of fell into the same.
Yeah.
Now again, that's all part of hauling. You wear tires down hauling, and if we didn't do as much hauling, we may save a little bit on tires as well. But that's a big ticket item is tires.
Right. So we didn't see a way to really cut that line down at this point. Because there's no reason to think that we're going to be saving money on that line.
The only way would be to cut that line is to get rid of the trucks when they're out of warranty.
Okay. And how about equipment and vehicle rental?
So the vehicle.
That one's a significant difference.
That is that rental line is for the truck that we are leasing. We should be getting shortly. I say shortly, the next couple months, hopefully. That will have a lease payment on for the 3 years.
So that's when you see that 13,700 on that line item 239, you see the increase. That is the truck lease.
Lease payment for a year.
So it's that one's pretty black and white, but just wanted to remind everyone when they see it.
Right.
Small tools, there's an increase there, but you just said that there was a lot of tools that you just felt like you needed to.
We ended up having to, some of the tools that we had were not ours.
Right.
So we have to restock a few tools that are needed. And again, we do a lot of our own repairs, so we need the tools to.
Yeah. Then going down the line 250, gas, fuel, and oil. If you recall, last year we had budgeted 45,000, and then we spent 77,000. So this year we had budgeted 18. Last year we had budgeted, or for this year that we're in, 18,000 gallons at $4.25 a gallon. And I put that footnote down there so you guys would see that.
That's 16,000 gallons?
No, that's what's in the budget for next year. But if you look below that, I put a note so that we would see what did that what was the 76.5 for the year we're in.
Yeah.
That was 18,000 because we were going to be hauling a lot of sand at $4.25 a gallon. Now what we're looking at budgeting for next year is 16,000 gallons because we're talking about maybe hiring out some hauling and a reduction in our per gallon from $4.25 to $4. So we're right now, I think this last week was 480 something or 460. 360 something. So it's difficult to predict, but gas has just been an enormous. We use a lot. Obviously, we use a lot of gallons. 16,000, 18,000. So I think that number could change depending on if Russ starts to shift the. If he was going to take a look at more hauling. Paying for more hauling and us hauling a little less, that those numbers may shift a little bit, but
not that the trucks won't be being used if it's not being hauled up, so we're going to be doing
other projects.
Right, but they're not going to be.
But they're not going
back
to
and forth.
They're not going to
all
be
day.
hammered all the time. It's just going to be idling, and then you drive down the road and dump, then you come back.
And it's pretty easy to calculate how many miles if you're going to that. You know how many runs and how many truckloads it is. So it'll be easy to. Shift those around. Where else are we? Anything else that I think you want to address?
The only thing I want to, maybe on the sand line, I did talk to Chip Percy. He didn't expect it to increase from what it is currently at. If it did, it would be very minimal, maybe 15 to 25 cents a ton. Maybe. All depends on fuel expense and everything else, which makes sense on
Yeah.
his site as well.
The stone line, which is the next line, 257, I just want to bring to your attention. That one bumped up to 28,000 because of Batter Back Road projects. And kudos to you guys for that job because it's looks amazing. I was up there the other day running on. Not Stevensville. Lower English Settlement looks so good. I don't know if you've been up it, but it's amazing. So that's why that is a reduction, but it's not really a reduction. We had just added stone into our budget this year for that specific Better Back Roads project. So depending on what projects are on the docket for that year, you may see fluctuations there. But
And that was grant motivated and reimbursed. Is that the way the grant works?
So we get, the Better Back Road grant was something we're going to utilize this spring. It's in the current fiscal year we're in now, but we're going to do the work in the spring. But the grant and aid money is guaranteed every year. We don't put it in the budget, and I think that's a good thing because, for one, we don't know what it's going to be because the grant comes out so late with the timing. Like, we won't know what it's going to be. And the beauty with that grant is we're able to use our time or the road crew's time and the equipment as the match. So we're going to be working anyway, and then we get the material taken care of. But it's a nice little buffer, I think, to add in there. It's usually around $15,000 to $20,000, but it's a really nice little cushion.
Yeah.
That you're not relying on the money. You know you're going to get it. Well, you think you're going to get it.
all right.
But
And there have been past times where
there was one year that
we got burned because we thought we were going to.
No one applied for it.
Yeah, that's true too.
Or the deadline passed and it was gone.
Right.
So, but it's a great program, and it's enabled us to do a lot of stone line ditching, and stone is going to be a hard commodity to come by.
And those are examples of the projects that
Yeah.
you can be freed up to do in the summertime when.
Just like saying stone in the ditch.
Stone in the ditch. It sounds like a country song.
But it also, you've got to keep in mind that what we're finding is that most ditches that we ditch should be stone lined.
Yes.
Even if it's,
There's a nice ring to it.
it just, even when it's below the
Because they're wet.
percentage, it's just like,
Right.
you do it and then it's like,
Stone wall, stone.
log stone.
No, it's all about the word stone.
So anyway, it's
Stone's gonna be used a lot.
And we've got Brad, who's always looking for every grant opportunity he can
Right.
find. So then moving down to other expenses, I would say bridges, culverts, and guardrails. Russ, you asked me to put Stevensville there because there's a potential remove the Jersey barrier guardrail situation there.
Yes, so we have that area where the Jersey barriers are put up, just past the town pond.
Yes, it's Stevensville. I don't like the Jersey barriers or the guardrails.
And looking at it today, there's more work that's going to be done there. All that wall is going like this.
We don't want those falling in.
No, but they're already,
The residents are.
they're already
The
leaking.
Jersey barriers, we need to put Jersey barriers to block the Jersey.
Yeah.
barriers.
The Jersey barriers aren't falling in. It's the big block wall that was installed several years ago
Oh.
that are now going like this. So if you ever just are up there,
peek over
by the barriers, and what they are, they're 4 foot, 2 foot by 2 foot, I think they are, 4 foot long blocks, and they're probably 40 feet maybe,
Yeah.
and probably 15 feet tall. 15 feet
Oh my
tall.
gosh.
It's to hold the whole side of Stevensville.
Yeah.
And
When were they put in?
I'm not sure. I think Scott was here, so within the last 10 years.
Wow,
But they're
that's frightening.
they're going like
15
this.
feet, that's really tall.
It's tall. It's really tall.
And if that was to go,
Stevensville.
That would be really
Because
bad.
it's right on the edge of the barriers, like the edge of the barrier, the edge of the barrier is those blocks.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
gonna have to be addressed one of these days.
FEMA buyout for everybody on Stevensville.
I don't live on Stevens FEMA buyout. Oh my God. Okay, I live on Maple Leaf. I'm just giving it.
Housing crisis before we know it.
Traffic control materials. Russ really likes replacing signs, so you'll see a slight increase there because there were signs hanging out that were hanging out for years and posts that were hanging out for years, and you guys did an unbelievable job replacing signs this past year. So there's still some to go and upgrading the signs, so you'll see an increase in that line slightly.
We need to upgrade any small sign, road sign, private or town road, to be 911 approved.
Yeah.
So like right now, I've just, you take a few that really look bad or whatever, and we do a few at a time. But that line also includes all of our painting, our crosswalks, our
Yes.
stop bars and all that, which that's like $5,000.
Then we have a new tool to set the post.
Yes, which works very well.
So can we,
So that might even need to go
Up.
up.
so speaking of that, talking with, Town of Jericho owns their own trailer and can paint their own crosswalks and all that kind of good stuff. And if you notice the difference when you go down Skunk Hollow Road and you can see how vibrant those lines are, versus when ours are kind of lackluster, it appears that the state did that work for the Town of Jericho. So I don't know if the state is willing to do that for other municipalities, if that's something that we can hire them to do or if that has to be like a class 2 road
You're saying the white line?
or the white and yellow line. I mean, it's almost like it's reflective.
Well, what
like
they added in was that mix.
something's in there
Yeah,
that's
it's a
different than,
mix.
because ours are like really flat and it seems like after a year, it's
I
like,
should go grab something
where's
upstairs. I'll be right
where's
back.
the fog line? Where is the line? Type of thing. It's just like, whatever we're doing, I almost feel like we need to do it better. And I was told that when we do a paving project, like that's included in the paving project, that they will go in and paint that. But I would like us to see, maybe we enhance that. So I'd like to address that in our budget that, I'm not saying that we need to get a trailer, we need to, paint our own crosswalks and stuff like that, but I would like to know, like, how much would that
That's an
type of setup
enhanced. It's, they put, I think it's pieces of glass, or some sort of product that makes it really thick, right? You've seen it, Russ?
Yeah, I have definitely seen it. It seems like in the past, there has been 2 qualities of paint that we could choose from, but the price difference is
It's
pretty
huge.
difference. So we've always gone to the lesser amount.
But that was smart for them. They redid Skunk Hollow and, that'll,
And then they look wider too to me. I don't know if they are or not, but they look wider.
it's the reflection.
And I guess I'm wondering, like, Pleasant Valley, the River Road, there's those in Park Street, those are like, our major thoroughfares.
Well, the state
should-
sprays those for free. The state comes and usually sprays the yellow line and the fog lines for free on a class 2 road. So they did it this year.
Yeah.
They missed a couple spots because the power company was putting the poles up at the same time. But you normally do, but it's just cheap paint.
Yeah, it doesn't
comes down,
last.
It doesn't last. But that stuff you're talking about is
That's like a 3M product. I think.
exactly.
Whatever it is.
It's 3M and it's got
really-
reflective in it,
glass
and it's, yeah.
It's
I
got
think
glass,
I think
crushed
it
glass.
works really well.
Mhm.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's what they use on the highway,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it kind of lights up.
It's nice stuff.
It'd be interesting to know if the
Well,
state,
maybe when you do Irish, put a yellow line on that.
Yep.
Maybe we can ask them what the difference in the price is and bid it. Ask here, we'll get the terminology of what the paint is.
okay, page 9, so we can finish up the highway stuff. So under highway notes, you'll see a big drop in our principal and mostly our principal payment. That's because we paid off the $350,000 note that we took for the paving. But I'm going to give this to each of you because I just think it's important for us as a team. And our taxpayers want to know that we're, paying attention to the long picture, not just the year by year. And that is that I think we want to always make sure that we're kind of watching our total debt load. We're fine. And there's no issues or concerns, but our total debt, is getting up there, and you can see how some will fall off and others come on, but we just want to make sure that we're, if something ever was to come up again, you want to make sure that you've got borrowing power for emergencies. So when we're talking about our budget for next year, and we're talking about, this all plays into our reserves and our long-term planning, we want to make sure that we're cognizant of this. We don't ever want to get into a situation where we have to get up where we want to bond for a big project and we can't because we've got too much debt. So, and I'm not saying that's where we are, but I just think we always want to be paying attention to this. So when we talk about, we've got another truck coming on and we've got this truck going off, and then we had this whole situation where we were going to lump the 2 years of paving in, and we ended up having to borrow the money because we couldn't get the bond. I just think it's something, as we're looking at this, we do the budget and we look at next year and we're like, okay, well, it went down and we're only spending, less than $250,000 on principal and interest next year. Yay. But our total debt is up there. So
It's the highest it's ever been. I did some research on it.
yeah, it's very high. So just
The
want
highest.
us to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, the highest it was ever is when we took the bond to do this building and the garage.
So this brings me into a discussion that's going to happen probably once we get onto the regular stuff, which is we receive this highway supplement income that we get from the state every year.
State aid to
It's
highways.
called state aid to highways. We get that every year. It ranges from generally 102,000 to 100 and I don't know. During COVID, there was some extra money thrown at us. So one of the things that we want to talk about doing and asking if it can be go on the ballot would be to build up our reserves, would be to have that highway supplemental income, which is coming in for the highways, and actually put that into highway reserve for at least several years. And Brad and we've all met in the office and talked about, if we put it on the ballot, we could put it on the ballot for like the next X number of years, the supplemental aid to highways shall go into the highway reserve.
And I think
So that we can start to build up that reserve again. So that if there's a FEMA event or something, we have.
And I think that's why the state really put
That was the
in
intention.
place. I think it was the intention.
Agree.
Here's some money you can set aside.
For infrastructure.
Yeah.
For highway infrastructure. And we haven't been doing that. We've been using it to offset our
Well, look, we didn't get the whole faux pas with the bridges and everything else. We planned on borrowing the money and then it didn't happen. We
Right.
drained our reserve by 400 and some thousand before you got here.
Yeah, right before you came on board, we had to use tons of reserve. So our reserve,
Where are we right now with reserves?
I can't tell you that at the top of my head, but very,
116.
as low as we've ever been, lower than we've ever been.
I think we put 100,000 on the budget, on the.
Yes.
Yes,
on the budget
that was
last year.
because it was voted on the floor.
And I think we're about 16,000 in that reserve,
We got really scary low.
Super low.
super low.
So one way to start to build that back up would be for us to start to replenish it and ask the taxpayers, and rather than have to ask the taxpayers every year for the next 5 years, if we put that supplemental money in over the next 5 years, we'd end up with, $700 and, $750,000 in there, which is real money in the event of an emergency. And I think we're definitely a big enough town that we should have some money in reserves. So maybe I'm going too far ahead, but I just wanted to plant that seed because we did hit the,
And don't forget, you
No.
can always take from the general fund and transfer it into the highway fund. Can't take from the highway fund, bring it back to the general fund.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's on Stevens.
Oh,
unless
yes.
it's on Stevens.
Right.
So
where does Bridge 7 fit into this?
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're still trying to hear back on, I don't think the grant's hopeless yet. They just keep stalling us out, but I was told, I have it in writing, that by giving up the grant that I convinced you guys to do,
That was gonna move us up.
that was gonna move us way up in the line. So.
So we haven't heard. But you'll notice in the capital expenditures that there's the only thing in there for next year, and we do need to talk about, because they still need to deal with the fuel dike and all that. But you'll see that there's only 230,000, and that is the paving for Irish Settlement Road.
All the way to.
All the way to your reach, all the way to Doom Road.
So that's it for the first round there. And round two will version 2 may look a little different for highway stuff, but that's where we're at so far.
So when is rest of Pleasant Valley going to be finished paving?
We'll see that, so
We
that's
have to do
It's
the
on the
ditching.
schedule.
right, but so we applied for the grant. See, the only grant we can get for paving is on a class 2 highway, and that's the valley.
Okay.
That's
So you
all.
didn't get the grant, so seemed to make sense to all of us. Okay, we didn't get the grant, let's pave a road that we're not gonna get the grant for,
Right.
that needs it. And then next year we'll apply for the grant,
Again.
hopefully
Get it.
get it.
So they flip-flopped. If you look at do you get a copy of that highway, the long-term planning schedule?
From Kurt?
Yeah, from Kurt.
Yes.
It's on there,
actually.
so you'll see that they flipped
Okay.
the roads on there, so to do what.
Has he
we're talking
sent out an updated one?
It's.
about. November
quite-
13th, I
think
have.
Yeah, but he was gonna tweak something, I think. I didn't put it in your packet. I was almost gonna put it in this
Okay.
packet, but I thought it was gonna change.
All right.
So, I got it from him.
The new
Yeah,
one,
a week
it's
ago.
like the one I have is dated November 13th, which is Monday.
Yeah.
When
no, I
he
don't
gets done tweaking it, when
Yeah,
it's ready for
we'll
prime
see it.
time. Perfect.
Oh, I think it would be
That's
good to
really
have him come to a
Yeah.
meeting and just
It's very helpful.
go through it with you guys.
But, it's like that's the only paving grant you can get is for the valley. So, it's kind of crazy to spend our own money on the valley when you could get it.
Exactly.
We did some pothole repairs
Yeah.
today, so we
Good.
did a little paving on the valley today.
It was a good day for it.
And you see the state doing that, they'll scab pave a section, they don't have it either.
What about River Road? Isn't that
Yes,
the same thing?
Where's that?
Park Street, River Road, Valley, it's all class 2.
Right.
But this needs it.
It does. Although it slows people down.
Can you show me where the income, I know you didn't have the income, but next time we have like version 2, the income from the solar and that nest egg that we're building?
Oh, you mean you want to see our balance in our reserves? Absolutely.
What's the nest egg?
That's what he's referring to. It's called the decommissioning fund. So what we said was that the first 5 years or 4 years? 4 years?
5.
First 5 or 4, I can't remember, years of rent that comes in for the solar thing are going into a reserve for decommissioning it. So we have now, I think, 2 years worth of, or 3 years worth, or whatever it is, worth of money in there for the decommissioning fund. That doesn't show up on the budget because it
Right.
goes into reserve.
Then if we need it, we have it. If we don't need it, then somebody's gonna have some money to use for
Other something
whatever
else.
they need.
But if it gets repurposed, then the voters would have to vote on what we're
Yeah.
going to use it for because it was voted on to be put into that.
Right.
So
Whoever did his job.
Stevensville, I think Stevensville Road was on.
We'll put some Jersey.
I'm pretty
Bears up
sure.
so that halfway up.
We're gonna have to rebuild a wall, apparently.
Cut all
A
the trees-
15-foot wall.
Yeah, cut all
Um,
the trees down, put Jersey barriers everywhere.
Jersey Berry run the
so-
tractor.
I'm gonna start on page 1 now, and Russ, if you want to stay, glad to have you.
I'd like to stay
Okay.
and be part of it.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm gonna start with line 22 because it is prevalent to what we were just talking about, and that's the state aid to highway line. So you can see in 23, we put in 102,000, but we got 109. So this year we put in 110. I don't know what we'll get, but we are already over what I thought we would be at year to date. And I don't have that number, but that just kind of appears in our account and we don't ever know how much it's going to be. That's the line that we're talking about, putting a ballot item and saying for the next X number of years, X amount, $100,000 of the supplemental state aid to highways shall go into a reserve. So that's where we're talking about that would be coming from.
Yeah, you could round it off to say 100.
Yeah.
That way, if you get
a little extra, it's a little extra. Because we don't really know where that number comes from.
right, and it's well, it comes from the legislature.
Right. But I mean, it's not like we can say we're getting X amount.
They don't.
They don't.
So that's what I wanted you guys to know about that. Otherwise, the reappraisal and line 26, I wanted to point out that the reappraisal and equalization revenue will not show up as income on our budget because we aren't using it that year. It's going into a reserve because it goes into the reserve so that when we do a reappraisal, that's when we use the money. So unless we're going to use something that year, you don't show it as income. Does that make sense to you guys?
Sure.
Because that's something that in the past sometimes people haven't understood. Because we're not going to use that money, then we need to show that we're getting the money in from somewhere else to pay those expenses. If we say we've got $15,000 coming in as income for reappraisal, then we think we have that money coming in, but we don't have it to use because it's being put into reserve. So that's just something that sometimes in the past people haven't understood. Page 2. Page 2. The interesting fact, I guess, line 35, our savings interest. I used to always nail that number and I've been off for the last several years. And that's because I didn't know that we were going to have COVID and get all this ARPA money that we would receive interest on. But you can see our interest has been much higher. We're already year to date over the 7,000 that I had budgeted for this year for savings interest. So that's why next year's at 12,000 because presumably we still will not have spent all the ARPA money. It will still be in our account because we don't have to spend it until the end of 2026. And not that we don't want to spend it, but we still have a chunk of money that we're supposed to spend here on the renovations here, and we haven't done that. So we're earning interest on that money. Other revenues. I don't know that there's much in here. I continue to put the use of the building reserve, the line 43, I continue to put that in there because we've had that money in there to use it for the great room and we still haven't done the project. So I continue to put that 30,000 in there. We took it out last year, but I put it back because at some point here, we're going to use that money and actually do the project. Let's see what else. Line 58.
57.
57. Oh, yeah. Do they deserve it? I'm not sure. We're going to go back down.
Of course they do.
I am paying your stipends are being paid on Monday, just so you know.
Oh, I never did that paperwork for you.
So I need that by Monday, please.
She doesn't go, you can give the money to Dan and I.
Yeah.
We'll make sure,
So nice.
we'll make sure that you get it.
You don't have to do it
I
now.
think it's still in here.
Okay. You don't have to do it now. You can always take a screenshot of it or whatever you need to do. Line 58 is the payroll tax and HRA payments. You'll see that goes up $8,000. That's just because the deductible on this health plan goes up even more. And if the deductible and the out-of-pocket go up, then the potential for us to spend that money on the health reimbursement accounts of our employees increases. I have it budgeted at a 60-something% utilization rate, 65%. So that's just what we've done in the past. So that's where that is. Training and professional fees, for some reason, we keep messing that up. And I knew we were not going to mess it up this year. that's where the invaluable Donna's income goes in. So under training professional fees, you see the 10,000 there. That's Donna's pay.
So we had budgeted for the insurance thing, 8,000, spent 30?
Correct.
Wow.
Yep. That was the year that we, so
We changed.
we changed the plan
from platinum to silver.
from, yes,
And then as a result of that.
Oh,
then- So the savings of going from one plan to the other, I don't know if we captured it by doing that or not.
we did.
we did.
If that was a wise move or not, you're telling me it is. I'm saying, okay.
Yes.
So it balanced out.
It did balance out,
Usually a good,
but it also is a direct factor of the employees and the employees' health and the employees' medical expenses. So this is a really touchy subject. I just spent a whole day talking about this at my workshop I was at in Rutland. So, because we can't predict what's going to happen to, my health or Russ's health or Brad's
so we
health.
should encourage wellness.
And we encourage wellness. And one of the things we did talk about, which we will be talking about, are incentives for wellness. So,
Yeah, I was gonna think of that. What kind of incentives? Some companies do that.
They do. They do. There was one time, it was when I was only doing animal control and I wasn't working in the office, where, I don't know if you were on the board then, or you were on the board then, where they did like, everyone got like a Fitbit. And you had to, they did, like some of the health insurance companies, employees would get money
Right.
if they walked a certain number of steps and could, you had to prove it. You had to upload it or whatever. You would get like cash.
I think, yeah, because I think we got them. Select board got them too. We all got them.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, it was
So-
like, and it was some incentive, some wellness incentive
Yeah, I
from VLCT.
remember, there's surveys too that you can fill out and get money for.
Yeah, so MVP does a health and wellness incentive where if you have a healthcare membership, they will reimburse their employees. Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't do that, but some health insurance companies, they just do different things each year to try and marketing and
Keep
incentive.
moving.
Yeah, all right, keep moving here.
Body in motion stays in motion.
Page 3, human resources, you'll see a reduction there. That's because in fiscal year, we had put in for recruitment services. As you recall, we hired a recruitment company. We don't need that anymore. The insurance line, I did a 5% increase. I don't see that there's anything really new. We're not adding a new truck. We're not adding anything. We have our workers' comp is what it is. We don't, everybody is very safe. So I don't anticipate that anything is going to significantly change.
Where are you at now?
Line 64, insurance and workers' comp.
So that Russ was safe.
I said that Russ is safe. And then, what else? Fiscal year 23, the housing grant was in there. I don't know, do we still have to match something for housing grant money?
I don't.
Line 65.
So, yeah.
We may,
That was a match.
okay, so 10,000 is simply, that's like the select board's contingency fund. Which last year we went over, and the reason that we went over was because of the housing grant expense. So you can see fiscal year 23 we spent 26,508 on line 65. Let's see, moving down to, like I said, all the salaries are at the 3.4%. You can see that.
So going to that, after reviewing, we upped Sherry's budget a significant amount because we were missing someone. She was having to do additional duties. Was that before you came on board? And I'm wondering if that's been adjusted or not.
You know what he's talking about?
No.
Before you were hired, Sherry had to do like the clerk, the treasurer, and was doing basically the finance job. And then you came on board. So I'm wondering, did that ever, I guess I'll back up and just say, when was the last time that we've had salaries and wages for the different classifications of employees looked at through VLCT or whatnot?
I look every year at the median wages, the average wages, all that.
So that would be good information.
Sherry is not a good example because there's not anything in the VLCT that I use for comps for her.
So,
And there was an adjustment made to her salary.
so
Years ago.
it would be good to look at that.
Happy to share all that analysis that I have on a spreadsheet.
Especially if we're, if we're under, then we need to be mindful of that.
That would
We need to be
good-
mindful of
that'd
it
be
if
good
we're over
information
too, but
to
this would be
share
good
with the
information
group.
for us to see, to know, are we or are we not on mark with that? And, do we need to make adjustments? Because I want to be,
I have that in my presentation for when I sit down with you in executive session to go through all of that.
Oh, good.
It's on a spreadsheet already ready for you.
Later or tonight?
You doing that today?
Ooh, I don't have it completed for tonight.
That's fine.
I mean, I could do part of it, but I don't have it
No,
completed.
I'm not, whenever you're ready.
Some of it's not typed up
Yeah.
yet, see?
When you're done.
The whole
I was hoping that,
presentation.
I was hoping that we could do that at the next meeting. Also,
That's fine.
I also learned a lot at the meeting on Tuesday that I wanted to be able to kind of highlight for
Right.
you also.
Sweet.
No, that's fine.
Page 3. So, I'm just trying to think if there's anything in here that is. I guess the only one here that I would want to bring to your attention is line 96, which is our audit line. You see it goes from 15 and I budgeted 15 and it cost us 19. Then I budgeted 20 for this year and I think it came in at 22. I put it in for next year at 24. But I wanted to remind you that I am going to be doing an RFP in January for our audit services. And what's most common is to go out for an RFP for either 3 years or 5 years. So once I get that together, I will come to you and ask you which you prefer I do. So there's 3 different companies that still do audits in Vermont. Unfortunately, only one of them's in Vermont. So it will change the way we do audits. Like, for example, tomorrow, they're coming here tomorrow and they spend the whole day doing field work, which I really like because it's very hands-on and they ask for things and we go through the files and it's
Way more efficient.
it's way more efficient than, especially with my time, because otherwise everyone, if we use the firm that's in Maine or the other one I think might be in New Jersey, everything I do, I have to upload to a portal, which means everything has to be physically scanned or unstapled and then scanned and then but that's what a lot of towns are dealing with. And I speak to finance officers all the time who are dealing with that. So they end up hiring someone during audit time to do their scanning because it basically takes them out of their job to do that. So we'll see where that's at and we'll see when the RFPs come in because we'll have to consider that as an expense when we get there.
Well, that would be offset by the bid,
Yeah, that's why we'll have to look at it.
Hire a scanner.
Right.
What's the market rate for a scanner?
Right. Yeah, and can you hire someone to do it? So we'll have to address that when we get there, but I wanted you to know that it's on my radar and I'm planning to do it.
Part of the chairman's job. Part-time scanner.
Chair of the select board. But I also will tell you that the audit, the way that the audit works is so helpful for me because it basically gives you this time to really review the whole year, review everything. I think it's a great thing. All right, so page 4. Feel free to speak up. I'm on assessing, and there's really nothing in there to add. That's Amanda's department. You can see my notes in the margins. We've made some adjustments to the salaries. You make adjustments to the salaries, it's going to affect taxes and benefits. And let's see, I'm just seeing where there's technical expenditures. That's a big one. Line 117, you'll see an increase of $8,000. And you'll see my notes in the margins. Tech group is $1,040 a month. They're the ones that make sure that we're not getting spammed and spoofed and phished and whatever. Then you'll also see our new website is $4,500 a year. NEMRIC charges. NEMRIC is the New England municipal something. It's our accounting software. It's everything we use for land record, from land records to tax administration to cash receipts to general ledger. And then our firewall costs us $1,035, got cut off. So, and then there's a little bit of extra money in there for if one of our laptops dies or one of our printers dies, but that's what is in there. I don't see anything else there.
And so for the post office, the last meeting, we talked about hiring a contractor.
Yeah, I just gotta get a hold of one, go in and take a look.
Should we put something in as a
let's
placeholder
wait.
for the post office?
Let me just see if I can get somebody in there to look at it. They could probably ballpark it,
Okay.
just to give us a better idea.
So if any work needs to be done in that basement,
Right, or,
we'd reflect it
you
in
know,
the budget.
You just want to use $50,000.
no. That's a lie.
Okay, so you mean maintenance and repair, that line could change.
Yes.
Okay.
And the technical expenditures could change too if we go to this Office 365, which will allow our email to be on the cloud.
Do we have a price for that?
We do, but we're still, Sharon and I are still kind of working with them a little bit. So we do have a price, but we got to figure out what that's going to involve. But I see like each of the chairs of the committee having a town email address, right? So the chair of the planning commission has a town email address. It'll just say planning chair or whatever at underhillvt.gov. And then they initiate all the emails to everyone else, right? And then everybody replies back. So by having that one email from the chairperson, you've captured everybody's email. Not everybody on a committee needs an email.
Right.
See, so if the chairperson initiates all you can guarantee the chairperson will be involved in every email, hopefully.
And then their job is to correspond with the rest of their committee.
And then if we get a public records request, we have it on the cloud. Yeah.
So maybe we can come up with some kind of number.
We'll get the
to put in
number.
there.
We're pretty close. We're
Okay.
just trying to look at it a little bit and understand it a little bit better.
Okay, so those are two. Next page. Let's see, what's this? Sheriff, the sheriff's no change for fiscal year 25, line 145. They are not, there's no change.
That's what they told me.
Yeah. So you see no change.
Signs now.
And I've had great feedback on the speed signs, both from the sheriff and from residents. So,
From everybody, yeah.
yeah, all around.
Second one might be up to them.
Slows me down. I'm just kidding.
It slows me down too. It's like-
It does. It makes you stop. How?
Sheriff gets bored.
So we have, how many did we get?
Two.
Two. Should we get more?
Yes.
Excellent.
Probably get at least another one, right?
Another two.
Let's put them in.
I mean, people really, at town meeting day, were really excited about that.
Want to add another?
We like the style of them. You know, Cambridge has got a little bit something different where it flashes, it says too fast, and maybe that's too much information. I don't know.
So you know when it's blinking, you know you're going too fast.
Yeah.
Just get the strobe light.
Just get the strobe. I didn't include the strobe.
Disco.
I thought it was included because it was included. I said, oh, here's our old piece of junk one, and it's got a strobe. I said, the new
What
one
does the
must.
strobe do?
As soon as you hit that number that I set it at, it like throws like a light beam.
A white light
Like a waste splash.
in your eyes.
Yeah, right in your face.
Yeah, it says, get off your phone.
So if it's set, if the speed limit's
That's what I was
35
thinking.
and
You're going fast.
it goes like you're 40, and at 40, then the numbers start blinking.
She's gonna start testing it.
Once you get, we can set it to like, if you're going 50, then this white strobe comes on like, okay, you really
Oh,
try
I
to get
like that.
it's just a round.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
I've never seen it because I'm never going that fast.
So we can add it to these.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just an added expense.
So let's add, I'm game for adding 2 more in the budget and doing the strobes.
I'll get a quote
Get a
on
quote.
it again.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
For now, we can put 9,000. I'll add 9,000 for version 2 until I hear from you because
Well, what was our last year we put in?
we had 10.5, but
10.5.
1,500 was the software, so 10.5. So if I add 9,000, we'll be at 10.5 again.
Yep.
So for now, I'll do that.
Yeah.
That's about what it came in. It came in like
And
90.
these things last for how long?
We don't know.
Look at that, the one the one we move around. We've had that. I think that's gotta be close to 10 years
They have
old.
like a rechargeable battery or something like that, right? And solar to.
Yeah, well, there was one
The
right
new
there,
one, the new ones do.
Yeah, yeah.
lithium battery.
But if you ever go down, you leave your house and go to Brown Middle School, that one has been dead for.
Ever.
Yeah, why?
Oh, yeah.
Probably their lithium battery is, or they don't have went in the right direction.
Yeah.
No, I've noticed it's not working.
It hasn't
And
been working for weeks.
yeah, I noticed that. I thought it was because it was solar only and their
Or
backup
maybe they
battery's
could
dead.
fix it and they could lend us their paint booth thing to paint the roads, especially on Stevensville.
They
I
should,
don't want anybody.
can I just say, with all the, I would be happy to talk to John about this. With all the help that I've given them in animal control for
I'm
free,
hearing you.
they could let us use the
I think
paint
so.
sign.
I think so.
I think we just talked to
Get some
Abbott.
Tyvek suits too, and we'll go right
I'll
out.
dress right up.
That's right.
All right, let's keep moving.
All right, we're moving right along. Safety appropriations, I don't know where we're at on Essex Rescue. Have we got,
Yeah, I gave you
we have that?
They-
Okay,
They bumped it up.
I gotta enter that.
not bad, but they bumped it up.
Okay,
They
and the
bumped it
fire
up.
department, did I get that one yet?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Talked about that.
Um,
Cruiser you have, it's too high, it's not 57.
those I
I
have
gave
to
you
change.
that, you gotta change that.
Okay, that's why I have them highlighted, because I didn't enter. And I'm trying to think, grounds, pond maintenance, recreation.
Water, so that, the well monitoring reflects the new.
Yes.
contract.
Oh, and I have a question about that, 155, well monitoring. How long do we have to do that?
Forever.
Forever.
Until the cows come home.
I thought we had to do it for like 10 years and then we could go back to once a year.
This is for the, over by the dome,
Yeah.
old dome?
I think that,
Should be covered.
Okay.
depending on the readings, it will become less frequent.
No, he's saying no.
Well, not right at the moment, so
Right.
let's just keep
Keep
with
it.
it. Well, we're going to what Ross Environmental and the state are telling us.
Okay.
So we tried to do that. I tried to do it a year ago.
They said no.
All that
They said-
stuff we dumped over
They said
there
no.
for free.
Yeah, it seemed like a great idea at the time.
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
And now.
So anyway, we don't have the results from this fall's testing, but
Fish have
they'll
two
be
heads over
coming.
there.
They'll be coming.
And then you can see everybody was really responsive. Brad reached out to them and Recreation gave us a number. Just their expenses for the year. Anton came in and said, put 10,000 for now. I don't know. They may come back with more. I have no idea. You never know. Recreation often has some other plans. I know they're talking about doing like the gazebo or something pavilion, but it's my understanding that will be at no cost to the town. So that was what I was told.
I can just tell you a little bit of prelude here, but it's not, it hasn't all been settled yet, but there's a place in Moore Park on this far side, outside the riparian buffer, where a little pavilion can be put up, and the Moore family wants to donate the whole thing.
Time and materials.
Time and materials, build it, put it in. And the Energy Committee was thinking, and I met with Seth and Michael Lamont, they'd like to, for their little solar project that was part of the ARPA, they didn't want to put it here. We've got the pavilion facing southeast, which would be a good exposure for the solar panels. So they're thinking about putting panels on the one side that faces the park.
It's a nice dual use.
Right. So now, and then we got the powers right there. They can hook onto the power.
So they would have to
Pavilion.
come and talk to the board about using the ARPA funds for that.
Right. We're not even close to there yet.
Okay.
So first of all, they're just going to see if the Moore family, how they feel about the position or where they think, and then we'll bring it to you to
Bring us a sketch.
we'll get it. We'll have a nice sketch. We'll have a picture of what the pavilion will look like, and then need your permission to go to the Development Review Board because it's a government building, so it requires site plan review.
Excellent, look forward to that.
Yeah,
Cool. Really cool.
it should be great. Ranks up, by the way.
So that.
Line 171, you'll see that drop off. That was the natural resource inventory, and that was a 2-year contract. That will be over this year. Line 171 mapping, 17,000 goes to 0.
I think I'm going to see if what the deal is with the low imagery. Remember we upgraded. I think they're going to fly 30 centimeter imagery every year now. So if we can get it updated to 15, it's well worth the money.
So will that go under mapping? So we would need to put something in that line.
I'll see what. Just put a note there.
Yep.
I'm checking on the
Got it.
imagery.
Imagery upgrade. Not seeing a lot here that needs to be discussed. 183, I only bring this up specifically because Russ is here, and I'm not sure why this falls into Russ, but maybe it doesn't. But cemetery, there was at one point there was some discussion about repairs that needed to be made. So we have continued we had put money in there in 23 to do some upgrades to the cemetery. This one right here.
Yeah, you got broken stones all over the place. You got trees all over the place.
And we haven't done the work, and I don't know whose responsibility it is to do that. I have no idea.
Get the Boy Scouts involved.
But it's not in the budget, but
It didn't go well last time.
With the Boy Scouts?
Well, for cleanup, it'd be great. Yeah, the fence needs to get torn down.
so it's not in the budget, but at some point I think we want to address this because then Memorial Day comes and then someone always says to us, how come nobody's cleaned up that cemetery?
Weren't we gonna ask somebody
Yeah,
to
that was,
contract with the fence? Can we look at samples of the fence?
No.
No.
That was
That's the town pond. Anyway, it's really starting to look quite shabby up there. I'd be happy to climb up there and get some photos for you for our next meeting, just so you can see what it looks like. It looks,
Or we should maybe just
That's the
take
one off Sand Hill Road.
a little site visit. Go up there.
yes,
Sand Hill
So you
and
can see it.
River Road.
yes.
Wasn't there some trees cut? Nate and I went up and looked at that last spring.
So we did have some cleanup done by our All Face. Went up and did some cleanup, and I went and walked it with him, and we talked about cleanup stuff. But that really was just the bare minimum of literally cleaning up some branches and trees. It's just in really bad shape.
is it a lot of stones up there? Are there a lot of people buried up there?
Yes,
Some people.
yes.
All of them.
Every
A lot
single
of-
person
everyone
that's
up is
up there is
buried.
dead
A lot
and
of
buried.
unmarked graves too.
But yeah, there's some.
I think that's where the poor farm people went.
It would be worth, if you haven't been up there, it's worth, and it could be worth us all just going up there and taking a look at
it
it,
would
because
be something.
I think it is something that we should address. And I
Just get up
don't
and
have it in the
see it
budget.
yourself.
Yeah, there's nothing like a in-person.
31st of October.
Field trip. I've been up there.
On
That's
Halloween.
when Scott Summers and I surveyed it on Halloween.
That's why nobody's been.
Is there a way to drive up there? Because I always hike
Yeah, we
up.
can drive up. Well, Dennis Williamson owns it now.
You have to get
And he's
permission.
he's very willing to work with us, and he'd like to see some of the trees. He'd like to cut some of the trees on his side that he's afraid are gonna go into the cemetery. And
He owns a cemetery?
no,
Right.
he owns the
The
land
driveway.
next to the cemetery, surrounds the cemetery.
Is that Gordon's?
Yes. So anyway, I think we
So
should pay attention.
TBD, I think that is something that we should consider, and that will affect that cemetery line number 183.
We also wanted to put in some money for potentially looking at repairing or replacing that fountain on
Yeah.
Park Street.
We never got that really on the agenda, did we? So
No. We looked at some figures on that, of taking that fountain out and putting something else in. We can revisit that.
Yeah, and that would probably be a capital expense,
yes.
so that would not be on this line item, but I think it's definitely worth talking about. I'm gonna make a note of it.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, so I made a note on line 188. Mount Mansfield did request 2,600, but that again is something that wouldn't be on our budget. That's something that has to be voted.
It's like the truck.
Yeah, it's like if we.
Truck
right.
doesn't get in the budget.
So the vote
It's
on
tacked on, right?
Well, so that has to be an article that's voted on by we can't just put that in the budget
The Mall Mansfield, no.
Yeah.
No,
because it's too high?
Too high of an increase.
It's got to follow the appropriations policy. So it just goes on the warning. It's voted from the floor.
Um,
And I hope someone stands up and asks to increase Front Porch Forum. And we give them $100. I
yeah,
just think that's a joke.
it is. I
We
pay more than
utilize
that
them
as a
for-
business.
For communication,
Exactly.
nonstop, all the time. And we couldn't live without it.
Exactly.
So why don't we put more in?
Good.
Well, how are you gonna get the word out? You're gonna go stop by everybody's house?
Yeah, no, it's an invaluable
I
service.
think it is, and I don't know. That should be done from the floor.
Yeah,
People use our website.
I agree. Someone needs to do that. We'll plant something. We'll make sure somebody does that.
Go to the website.
I have someone in mind.
Perfect.
It should be, I have someone that brought it up.
Okay, yeah, that's the person that should do it.
Yeah, $100 is silly for them.
It is.
Oh, they do
Such a-
such a great
They charge,
service.
and they don't charge us. They charge businesses. Unless you pay a subscription, they charge businesses to post. So for my businesses, I pay to post on Front Porch Forum.
Mhm.
They do not charge us as municipalities. And when it comes to like lost dogs,
No, it's
found
seriously.
dogs, road closures, I mean, we use it all the time and they do not charge us. So this is kind of, it's almost like we're taking advantage of them. Okay, and then line 201 is the same thing. Mills Rivers Farmers Market asked for 2,000, which is 1,000 more. So that's another example of one of the appropriations that will have to be voted on from the floor. So that's all I have for now. That's round one. What I would encourage you guys to do is to spend a little time looking at it. I'm gonna go and make whatever changes we all discussed tonight. Some of the things that Russ is talking about, some of the things that Brad was talking about, and then we will, at your next scheduled meeting, I will have version 2 for you.
So I think now we get Don Toby here. Would you guys like that?
I
Or-
would like that.
So when we get the some following versions, if you can have like what the percentage of increase is going to be. So when we're looking at this, like I have in my head, like every $56,000 is a penny more.
Correct.
So, the rate of increase, compared to last year is going to be X number of dollars, and then that's going to be so many cents per thousand.
You mean on the tax? You mean how does this impact the
Based
tax
upon,
rate?
based upon what we have now with these changes, I'd like to know, like, before we start talking about anything more, like, how is this growing? So
Okay.
we know, like,
Happy to do that.
Are we in the weeds or?
Right.
We need to take our.
Right now, we're not. Right now, it shows a decrease, but we clearly don't have everything in there.
Mhm.
And keep in mind that if we show an increase and then we add all these things from the floor, then when we finalize it, it's gonna be even higher.
Mhm.
So we
But
really
we don't have
want,
any control over what happens on the floor. We have control over.
we
what
don't, but we want to,
In this.
we want to be mindful, that's all I'm saying.
Balance it out.
It's all part of a balancing act, because otherwise we're setting it up. So if we make this really high, then the things on the floor won't get voted on. You know what I mean? That they're more likely to be voted down if the budget as we propose it is high, and then you run the risk of the budget itself being voted down. So we just want to, I agree with you, it's a very helpful exercise. And Mandy said her caution, and I'm sure they'll be at subsequent meetings, Mandy and Sherry, that it does not appear that the grand list is going to grow much at all. So between this year and next year. So
Should if we fix Stevensville Road, all the other roads are gonna go way up.
clearly they're all falling in the,
I know.
going to fall in the river.
We're gonna have to get a hot
Stevensville
air balloon
Brook
to
is
get
gonna be
residents
full
up
of
there and just-
all these
I don't know
homes.
how we're gonna call the National Guard in or something.
Giant
We should,
motorboats.
We should be seeing a chance of a reappraise here in the near future, because the price of home sales are just so much higher.
Oh my
Our
goodness. yes.
CLA is just.
Fast. It's
Doing
going to
it.
happen. It's going to happen faster than it has in the past.
And Tom Vickery that was here, he predicted it and he goes, oh man, if it keeps up at this rate, you'll be reappraising in another couple of years.
Wow. Really?
Which isn't good, because we're not accumulating the money to cover the cost of reappraisal at that rate either.
Right.
The state's not keeping up with the money they give us to reappraise.
So that could be on the.
We need lobbyists.
Was there a yearly charge? I remember seeing a yearly charge for the new camera system. A yearly subscription or something, something's.
Oh, there has to be.
1,700 a year or something.
I have to talk to Scott about that. And then
Was in the paperwork, I remember reading, but does that need to get put in the budget
Yes.
somewhere?
Absolutely, yeah.
And the increase.
You have a technology line.
Right, but I just want to make sure it gets in there, so we can cover that. And
That's good
the
call.
phone work that was just done, the new DSL or the new
Line.
that
One
was
extra line. That's yeah, 68 bucks a month, I think.
So
Look up
now,
another
so now,
modem.
so now they're separate, so your speed is,
the camera is now on its own modem
Mhm.
or router. is that what
Yeah,
you-
router.
And then the town garage is on the one we already had, so everything is on continually now.
so we need to,
And hopefully that's enough to do it.
we need to get with Scott and we need to adjust and look at that, plate reader one. Because I don't know if it's too far away being on the building or if we need to look at that, having it closer to the gate. But we could talk about that.
Talk about that.
And when you have numbers for that, just let me know. I have a plug line 240 is empty, because I made a note that we have the security system that I didn't know what
And
the,
then
cost was
if the phone line needs to be increased for that,
okay, and the phone line.
68, you said?
68 bucks, I think.
70 bucks.
That's what they quoted me.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if this is the right time, but I had a thought about something for you guys just to think about, is maybe utilizing to do our own mowing in town versus hiring out our mowing, like the town hall, the Moore Park, it's just a thought I had.
So you're talking about grass mowing,
Grass
not road.
Grass mowing, not roadside.
And what I'm thinking of utilizing that would be, at some point, we might want to hire a part-time employee or a full-time employee to run that pickup route, to maybe do mowing, maybe if we get into roadside mowing, maybe we could run the tractor, do more guardrail trimming. Some of the things that have been put into that part-time line prior, I think there might be enough work that it just
That's a big discussion.
yeah,
Yeah.
just want to put it in your minds as something to think about.
Okay.
$7:40, so we're over time. We're ready to go on to closing public comment, Dan?
Sure, I am.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's
Great
a
first
good
draft.
start.
Mhm.
Where do you want?
You want in the books.
In the books.
So there's no
No
public for closing comment, 7:40. So we don't have any warrants for this time,
No.
but we do have minutes from the November 9th meeting.
November 9th meeting. That was the
Last Thursday.
regular select board meeting. Are there, I move that we approve the minutes for November 9th.
Second.
Are there any additions, discussion, questions? Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries 3-0. And do we have any member items or correspondence?
I have one piece of correspondence I included with you. It wasn't in your packet because I just put it together after the packet went out, but it's a notice of the Harvest Crossing sketch plan review hearing that will be on December 4th. Yes. So I just want to make sure you all see that. You're being notified because you're within 500 feet of the town. And the park is a parcel of land that's owned by the town that's across the church.
So the board needs to be there for that?
No, you just need to get notice.
We've been noticed.
You've been notified.
I forgot to include my correspondence. Am I allowed to share it?
Sure.
I'll be brief, but I just wanted all of you to know that I have been, what's the word? It's a legal word. Subpoenaed to testify in court in December for the case against the owner of Scooby-Doo the dog. So there's going to be a jury trial. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. And I have already spoken to our town council about that.
Very good.
So keep you posted.
Anything that you need support-wise, please keep us in mind.
Okay.
So the town's council will represent you.
If need be, he feels confident and comfortable that
Who's suing who?
it's the state versus
The owner.
the owner.
Oh, I see.
So I just wanted you guys to know, as an employee of the town, that I have been asked
The
to.
original owner
Yes,
from this town.
yes.
Okay.
That I,
So I guess,
He's the defendant.
correct.
Joe should know this, but any testimony that you should have, I hope the court will take that in consideration because you're a town employee that, they will get you in and out as quickly as possible, that you won't need to be there. I don't know how long of a jury trial this is going to be, but,
David
You're
worked
very-
3 days in December,
you're very valuable to us.
and it's not a good time for me, and I made that clear when I left a voicemail for Sally, the state's attorney, yesterday, and it's just a really bad timing for me, but.
You've been subpoenaed, so you don't have a
Right,
choice.
right. And you've been deposed?
Nope.
Okay.
So, but Joe, and Joe just said as things evolve to just,
A lot of deals get cut on the courthouse steps.
They're not gonna, you don't have to give a deposition.
I'm testifying. That's all I don't know. I don't know what,
Usually you get a deposition first, but
I don't know.
that's odd.
I just got an email
Is that right?
yesterday and called Joe.
It may be coming.
So I don't know a lot about,
Mhm.
Wish everyone and their families a very happy Thanksgiving.
thank you. You too. Wish your sister a speedy recovery.
We'll pass it along.
So the next, I just want to talk about the scheduled meeting. So normally the meeting would be on the 14th, but we decided to bump it up since there'd be a big gap. So the next meeting is on the 7th of December, or Harbor Day. So, and then the meeting after that would be 2 weeks after that
The last scheduled meeting of 2023.
will be on December 21st, this winter.
Oh, the 21st, not the 14th?
No, so we're switching it up. Because the 14th, if we would have done the 14th, it would have gone too far.
Right.
So we
We want to be able to have another budget
balanced it
discussion.
out.
That way, if we need to fit another one in, we can.
May need to. fit
May end
an
up,
AP
need to do the
warrant.
14th.
Right, may need to do a AP warrant. Do you think we can hold off AP until the 7th?
What's today? Oh, yeah,
It's the 16th.
Yep.
So that's
we'll be fine.
3 weeks.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3 weeks.
So
But we
this,
did an AP.
Yeah,
uh,
last week.
4 weeks.
We should be fine. Everyone's on net 30.
so we're gonna meet on the 7th.
We're
and
gonna meet
then
on the 7th, and then we're
then
gonna
the
meet on the
21st?
21st.
And it is possible that we may need to have a budget meeting
On
in
the
between
14th.
those. But
Maybe. But I don't think we're
I
in
think
pretty
we're in good shape. There's not a lot of stuff.
Should we try to have one during the daytime so that other staff can be a part of it? Budget meeting?
I don't think you need to. I mean, Russ can speak for his other people, but Mandy and Sherry both gave, filled out their papers and gave them to
People who are in
me.
charge of numbers.
But they would
in the
come if,
budget.
I think that
Yeah.
if they have something to
They'd
share,
write
they'll
them
come.
out.
Yeah, I
we're
don't
all
think that
good.
that's necessary this year.
Okay.
But if you're talking about adding another employee, that's a big deal, and we'd want to get on that as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Because because as we get closer here, we've got extreme deadlines with the warning, with the informational hearings.
plus
So
the
things
printing
have
of
got
the
to be
thing,
closed
yeah.
out.
And
just-
maybe if not for this year, then next. Just
Yeah,
start
he's
the
just
spring,
starting discussions.
Something I wanted you to think
plant the
about.
seed.
Yeah,
and
but once we're on this path, we will be on this path, and we've
The
got
deadlines-
we've got
The
deadlines
deadlines start kicking
that
in the
cannot be
year.
missed. No. And I've got them, some of them in my phone. The warning needs to be signed by January 25th. That's the first date you can sign it. There's sections of time. It's very, very regimented. And that whole calendar over there, see with all those dates on there, those are all things we have to watch. Like a hawk. Makes me nervous thinking about it.
Brad's having a hot flash. He's getting twitchy.
But anyway, 7th and the 14th.
Okay.
Anything executive wise?
No. You're gonna defer
Yeah.
what we were gonna talk about to next week. Jen's pulling stuff together.
They're gonna move to adjourn.
I am.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned by unanimous vote.
And I had a schedule.
Nice, very nice. Thank you.